This is John Myers that works at Kicker. Is 200 watts acceptable for a KS6x9 run active with proper settings? You want to take that one, John?
Yeah, in fact, it's funny you ask that, and I'm probably going to open up a can of worms here, but I have exactly that in the doors of my Dodge truck, and I've got IQ 1005 bridged on those in just the doors. I'm running 300 a channel to just the 6x9s in the doors, and you know, if you guys know me, I like it loud. I play them for what they're worth, and if it's set up properly, you know what to listen for. You know when you're, the mechanical limits of the speaker, or the electrical limits of the amplifier, you're never going to have a problem. So it absolutely pounds in that truck. I've had people ask me if I've got 12s in the back. It's like, right now you're just listening to the 6x9s. I mean, you can get some amazing bass out of 6x9s, and it just takes preparation. I mean, it takes obviously the proper power, proper crossovers, but mounting is really critical. And when you're talking doors are not really the best place to mount speakers. They're not very well reinforced. They're not sealed very well. They're not designed for good sound. But with plenty of sound damping material and proper placement of speakers and power, you can make them sound pretty incredible.
Right. Just the vehicle itself, the car, is not an ideal area for sound. That's why, I don't know, some say home audio can be easier in some aspects with that, but absolutely. And I'm the same way. I like a lot of power rather than not enough, because one, I just want to get what the equipment can do and not have to worry about clipping per se as much with distortion. But again, with Kicker products, at least as of late, I noticed you guys, at least, I don't know, my older KSs didn't have it, or I think they might have been DSs, I don't know, but they were older, and the tweeter would go, on a 3.5 or something. And I know that you guys revamped them recently, maybe, I don't know, within the 10 years or so, and you can't really blow those tweeters so much that there's like a resistor in there or something. Yeah, so even if you put too much power,
it is more difficult, but if you're a real knucklehead, you can do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's dummy proof, just not idiot proof. Yeah.
Yeah. You tell them, hey, you can't blow these. They will find a way to do it. I promise you. I've seen them do it.
Yeah.
What it is, it's a variable resistor that, as it gets more, power going through it, it heats up and increases the resistance. So it starts limiting the power from the tweeter. And it's actually kind of a cool little device. And, they're usually about the diameter of your fingernail, and ours are kind of orange in color, but they're great. They're called poly switch, and what they'll do is as soon as they cool off, they'll start letting the power back through. So if you've ever got the problem that hey, I've been cranking on it, my tweeter's cut out, or they get real quiet, and when you turn it down, they start coming back up. That's the problem. You're basically overdriving the tweeters with too much distortion and clipping. So those little poly switches are there to prevent that, because with an amplifier, when it heats up and shuts off, hopefully if it's done right, it'll come back on in a few minutes. But if your tweeters or your speakers heat up and shut off, it's pretty much R&R, remove and replace.
Done and done. I think that's the coolest thing, and I feel with tuning of like just 9 chances out of 10, everybody's trying to get the most out of their system, so they're pushing a little bit too hard. And it's hard. I know you could probably hear it with a trained ear, but it's harder to hear distortion per se at like those high frequencies, what a tweeter does, because you're just trying to get the most out of it. Your bass is loud, and it just kind of everything mushes together. So it's nice how that just rears down, goes into a limp/protect mode in a way, but just by, heat, and saves your tweeter. And you can tell. It's like you're playing it, and it's like, man, it just doesn't sound as crystal clear. What's up? Turn the volume down, and then it gets crystal clear again. It's like, I was pushing it too hard. Let me go into my EQ settings, pull that down so I can go at that volume without them rearing down. I think it's really awesome.
It's amazing how many people don't realize that that's what's going on. And when we first started doing this, we were obviously, before that, we get a lot of speakers back with blown tweeters for warranty. And we started doing this, and over the years, we kept seeing them come back with no problems found, and people just didn't realize that, hey, it's doing its job. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, protecting the speaker. There's nothing wrong with it because the tweeter's cut out. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to. Kind of like a rev limiter on a car,
I love it. I
You
love
rev
it.
it up there a few times, but you don't want to rev it up there and leave it.
No. When did you guys start implementing that?
Oh, it's got to be 15 years ago.
15
Now,
years.
I will tell you, in the early, the first separates back in '86, when Steve introduced them with the passive crossovers, they had basically like a GM style light bulb, which kind of did the same thing. They pulled the DC away from the tweeter. And, you know, a couple problems with that. One, people think, you know, flashing lights are cool, so they turn it up, so they did that. Kind of like, you know, like feeding
Go
them
with my
up.
music. Yeah.
And the other problem is the people that did that over a consistent amount of time, these were encapsulated in resin, like a fiberglass resin. And, you know, what happens when you heat something up, you know, things start to expand. And when they don't expand, they get to a certain point, they just kind of explode.
Oh, yeah. That happens.
So, yeah, we've seen many of those that come back, you know, split open or, you know, cracked. And, you know, it's like, yep, you were overdriving it. But I literally had a guy at a show one time, you know, he's like, hey, you guys used to make those speakers that flash to the music. I love that. It's like, yeah, well, that really wasn't the best thing. But okay.
That's funny. I love hearing those kind of old stories of just like learning and trying different stuff, and you know, just hearing those people's feedbacks too from what you hear from back then. That's just crazy. And you know, I feel like you guys are always innovating, always like a step ahead of everybody else. Not in every aspect, but in a lot. It's really cool what you guys do.
Except Mr. E100's asked me to rig the contest for him.
You know, we usually normally do that, but since he's asking, you know, I'm sure we can.
I still rigging against him. No.
Catch the Livin Loud with Andy show every Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 or 10 o'clock Eastern. Smash the like and subscribe.